Flare network, absolutely massive opportunity with this blockchain. I put together this report leveraging artificial intelligence. I fed in a ton of data sets from all of these smart contract blockchains to try to analyze, which ones present the best opportunity. And that's really what caused this video to be made. We see this chart here in front of us. All the big ones out there, the Ethereum competitors. And you see that big red arrow on that tiny little bar graph there labeled Flare. That is the algorithm picking Flare is the opportunity to look at. And part of it is, yes, look at all that room we have to grow. If you catch Cosmos, Polkadot, Avalanche, no less Solana and BNB, you have a lot of upwards growth potential here, plenty of room to run, but it's more than that. We're going to go through the various areas that the algorithm believes Flare can be very successful. We'll take a look at that analysis. We'll take a look at models that try to project possible growth potential for the FLR coin, modeling off of some of the analogous coins from the past. Again, I fed all this data in from the last run for a lot of these very similar chains and how they performed. It's kind of a complicated deal, but we'll run through it. Pretty interesting stuff here. Now, beyond just the fact that, we're starting at a pretty low market cap compared to our competition here, the algorithm feels these are going to be the reasons that Flare may excel during this upcoming bull run, this continuation of the current bull run, whatever you want to call it. NFTs and gaming, of course, are massive. Those really are what spurred last run Solana's growth, Solana's adoption. Ethereum could not handle the load there, and so people went to other ancillary chains trying to be able to trade NFTs at a reasonable price, have gaming that worked, and you were able to settle transactions. Beyond those two growth vectors, we see DeFi, lending, borrowing platforms, yield farming, decentralized exchanges. Again, all of these are right up Flare's wheelhouse. And of course, stablecoins. We just saw our first stablecoin minted on the Flare network, and there's going to be a lot more to come. You should see a full suite of DeFi capabilities, lots of dApps rolling out here shortly. Still a very young chain. It's not been out that long, but it's coming quick. Artificial intelligence. We just heard from Hugo. They're going to build out that capability. Going to be a huge growth vector for cryptocurrencies, AI integration, predictive analytics, kind of what we're doing here, right? And data marketplaces. And this is really the blockchain of data. That's its purpose. Lastly, and probably most importantly, interoperability. Cross-chain compatibility, bridges and oracles, universal wallets. F-assets are going to be so huge as we continue through this growth phase. What's the one thing people don't want to do during bull runs? Well, the one thing they probably should be doing, cashing in on some profits, selling some tokens. They don't want to do that. They're hodling for the moon. And what pairs well with that? Well, people like to try to earn yield on the assets they're holding, especially those coins like Doge. Don't have any on-chain DeFi. You can do with them Litecoin, XRP to some extent, even though we are starting to see AMMs on the XRP ledger, things like that. But you're going to be able to pull a lot of dormant capital on Flare network, earn yield from it, and it's going to be a popular choice. Best believe it. F assets are going to be huge. And so this idea of interoperability, you saw things like Celsius and other yield generations that were downright dangerous. This will be a safe way to go ahead and earn off a lot of those assets you hold. Going to be really big. Interoperability is one of my favorite areas of blockchain. Polkadot, Cosmos Atom, right here. Flare network, same kind of idea here. Now, trying to rank these blockchains against each other. Working with artificial intelligence, we came up with this weighted score calculation where we are trying to take the important parts of an ecosystem and build a scoring model, essentially. TPS, transactions per second, consensus mechanism, smart contract language, finality time, interoperability, ecosystem support, and cost per transaction. And you can pause the video, read down below how this is weighted and calculated. But of course, they're all important. We have to kind of assign some sort of importance to each category there, of course. When we do this, look what we see. Not that Flare is competitive, but Flare is downright dominant, as you see from this chart. Over Ethereum, Cardano, AVAX, Polkadot. You see there at the top, excluding Solana. There's a reason why I took it off of this chart. Some of Solana's metrics, it's off the charts. And when I include it, you just see this big long line for Solana and everything else is far behind. And you can't really see the minutia there. So I'm not trying to show that this scoring mechanism, favors Solana over Flare. It's not really the point here. I just want you to see really the detail here, how it ranks Flare against Polkadot, Avalanche, Cardano, and Ethereum here. And so this shows this is a very highly capable chain, one that should be competitive as we continue forward. We see here this radar chart. Kind of shows the strengths of various blockchains. I picked 3, Flare, Ethereum, Avalanche, all great chains. And you see how Ethereum, it kind of really leans towards development as its strength and ecosystem support, but it comes up short in a lot of other areas. And I like the complementary nature here of Flare, where it's very strong in interoperability and finality. And it can grow into developing developer activity and ecosystem support. That's room for growth here. And so it can be quite complementary with other chains. And then you have Avalanche, quite a balanced chain here, just beastly on the TP, transactions per second, good on finality. It's a great also complementary chain, of course. But I think Flare's set up well based on this chart, and it has room to grow into some of these other areas. You can't do everything world class. You'll never be best at everything. But do you have strengths and do you minimize your weaknesses? I think that's very important. Now, again, I'm going to show you 2 models that we did for the price prediction of FLR token. Remember this, no AI is a magical fortune teller here. It's just going to do its best predicting off of certain assumptions. So what we did, we took the price history of AVAX and studied that and built an algorithm off of that, and then loaded up what limited data we have so far with Flare. And the price was going off the charts. It's going, in my opinion, and again, this is where I could be wrong with the assumptions. I put a market cap constraint on this because it was going way too high off of this predictive model. And after putting that, and again, I talked to artificial intelligence to try to figure out how to kind of rein it in a little bit, be a little more reasonable with this prediction. After putting that market cap constraint on the growth model, brought us down to about 70 cents for the next growth model. And again, this is building an algorithm based off of 2020, 2021 AVAX and its performance and its growth and the way it behaved. And then the secondary chain that the AI felt was most comparable and would be a good one to model off of is Cardano. Now, Cardano is one of the biggest chains in the world. It has one of the biggest communities, both in terms of development, user base. Like, those are tall shoes to fill, of course. But why I think this isn't an awful comparison is when you look back to the last run, FLR set up actually better. We already have smart contracts. You didn't have that last time when the last bull run really started. We had it by the end. You should have a fully functioning ecosystem, dApps going live. You should have a lot going on with FLR, so I don't think this is an awful comparison. And when modeling, trying to predict FLR's price appreciation based off of Cardano and its past during the last bull run, it takes us up to a $2 price prediction. And again, on this one, I had to throw a market cap constraint on there to stop it from getting out of hand. It was going even higher than this. Try to rein it in a little bit. Again, these are just guesses based on data from the past, trying to do our best to kind of peer into the future and see what we can do here. If I had to guess, that's a huge, huge price appreciation, 70 cents. We're only at 2 cents right now. And to get here, to get to the 70 cents, there's a lot that has to be done. We have to see dApps go live, F assets go live. There's still a lot of work to do here in a fairly short amount of time. Again, you see this growth model is putting us out to about April 2025. Feels about right to me. But, I think it could be done. And we may see this type of performance. It's kind of what I expect out of FLR. Now, I'm not saying I will hold all my coins up to 70 cents. I thought this was a pretty good model. And I'm not saying that this is impossible, this can't happen. I'm just saying that's huge, a tall order to try to measure yourself up against Cardano. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.